My name is Sally McFadden, and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in the United States. I blog at thepolkadotlife.com. Today we are going to be making a really simple card. It is a great way to use up some of those leftovers that you have of some designer series paper. And it works with all different kinds of stamps and greetings, things that you already own. However, if you see something that you just need to have, you can head on over to thepolkadotlife.com and you will see the shop tab there. That will take you to my online store where you'll be able to find exactly what it is that you need. If you have any questions, please reach out to me at sally@thepolkadotlife.com. I am more than happy to help you and answer your questions. Want to remind you about our paper pumpkin kit coming up, that you need to be subscribed by October 10th. And that is for one of the Christmas kits. The next two are going to be Christmas kits. From what I can understand, I believe one is cards and one is tags. I think the next one is cards and it coordinates with the tags for the following month. I will post all of that information in today's blog post. Let's flip the camera down and get started on today's project. I really love this card layout. It's very simple, but in particular, it's a great way to use up some scraps. But that doesn't mean you can't start with just fresh new paper. It's great if you're doing something in bulk and you want to make your paper go a little bit further, but you still want to use it. Just all kinds of things. There are so many different elements that you can change out, swap around, do a little bit differently, make it your own. And that's one of the things I love the most about this layout. So we're going to start, and I will have all the measurements on my blog post. We're going to start out with 4 strips of 1/2 inch wide paper and 3 of 3/4 inch. And these can be all the same. They can be all different. Just whatever you have and whatever you want to use. Now, I like using liquid adhesive for this. You know, I kind of change my adhesives around. I always say the right adhesive for the right job. You don't want it oozing, but you do have to have enough to have it slide around. And we're just going to kind of look here at the bottom and get these 3 edges pretty even to get that started. Then I want to move in and put one of these wider strips in. We're just going to keep stacking these right on top of each other. Just, trying to keep things straight. Nothing super crazy. And then we're just going to rotate again, then back to the thinner strip. These cards do go together very quickly. I have to say that. I made several for you, so make sure you stay tuned. I have I think 9 or 10 different cards to show you. And then I want to put this other print in the center. And there are all variations of this card, from very simple to more stepped up. So this is great for the avid crafter, the casual crafter, the beginner stamper. There are just, all different levels here. You can do it your way. This is why we use that liquid adhesive, so we can just slide things into place where we want them to be. And this just gives us some of that wiggle room. Well, see, we need to scoot this over And sometimes it takes a little bit of a nudge if it's set there for a little minute. But we want to get this back over this way. And you know what? Even if something's off a little bit, there's so much going on this card that you're not going to notice. And if it is, you only need to rip up one strip and replace it. Generally, you don't have to have a big trash it and start all over party. There. Super, super cute. So from here, on this particular card, we are going to add a gray granite layer, which is slightly larger than this layer. And we're just going to do that on this card with some liquid glue. Here's where you could change it up. You could use foil, you could use glitter paper, you could pop this layer up. Lots of different things that you choose what you want to do. And that's, like I say, one of the things I love, even sometimes if it's just that I have to make a card just to kind of get in the crafting mood, to get things going. I like this layout for that. And then we'll just give everything a nice little rub to get everything all happy and going together. You can even flip it over if you need to. Super, super cute. Now, one thing I want to do before we get any further is I want to put some ribbon. I don't use gray granite all that often, and I love it. And I love this gray granite ribbon. It was carried over from our previous season, and I love it. I just feel a little more secure when I do it this way, and I tie my bows separately, so I just like to adhere this down, and this way I feel like it gets on there tighter. Then I just can go around here and secure my ends, just some Scotch tape. No one's going to see this. We're going to use liquid adhesive to adhere this, so it's going to be adhered really sturdily. You don't need to worry about, like, this didn't go over very far. You don't need to worry about that. Now let's continue building our card. We have a gray granite card base. Here is another option for you. Your card can open this way. You can have it portrait or landscape. You can have it, you know, this way. It doesn't matter. You just use what you have. If you have a card base left over that's cut one way, use it. And this layer, I like to use an embossing folder, but you could certainly use another piece of designer series paper, some specialty paper, some vellum, all different kinds of things that you could do with this layer. And since this is embossed, I am going to bring in my liquid glue. I'm not going to have it so generous that it's coming out the side, but you do want to have quite a bit so that it lays down. And I just like to do a real small, sometimes some of these embossing folders, when they leave really big indentions, if you don't get adhesive on the ends, sometimes they don't always lay the flattest. And so I want to go ahead and line up these three sides. And that should take care of our top. And it does. Let's just straighten things up here a minute. But see here, I'm going to try. It's even kind of worth even have some glue gush out, because you want this to lay flat. It's not going to look nice if this is all wrinkled here on your card. I'm going to bring in some dimensionals because I want to pop this card this piece up on my card. And I know I love my dimensionals, but they are inexpensive, and I just don't want my card sagging or getting a big bad wrinkle in it because something's come across it. And so we'll just remove our backings pretty quickly here. Love this tool. I actually bought a second one so that I can have the brush end and the stylus on the other one. But this is the one I use the most, but it's nice not to have to change them out. So I'm going to take this liquid glue. Since we are going on to the embossed and I want to be able to move it around, I'm just going to kill the tack on this with a little bit of a liquid glue. And that will also help it adhere better to that embossing. Because this is a 3D embossing folder, I believe, and it's really nice and deep, the indentation that you get. And we are just gonna center this up. Love gray granite. I think this is a great, this card could be masculine, it could be feminine, just several different occasions, happy occasions, sad occasions, all of those things. And so I have also then, I just went ahead and did the embossing and the stamping and cutting just to save a little time on the video. I have cut out a fern and a greeting, and I'm just trying to determine how I'd kind of like them to go. Or do I not want to use the fern? There are just so many things that you can do to make this your own. Now, I chose to do this one in kind of a monochromatic look, but you certainly wouldn't need to do that. I also have this knot that I had prepared that I'd kind of like to use. And so I just thought I would bring all of the elements in to see how I thought I might like to use them. This is the hardest part for me. I know that this is where I spend the most time in coming up with a design is, you know, how do I want things on my card? Do I even want it? And you know what? I think today I don't even want this. I just want to put a simple knot on here. And I do want to also use dimensionals on here. Let's bring those back in real quick. And I wouldn't want them to get in the way of my ribbon. So I'm going to do that so that the ribbon can go right underneath. And I'm just, since I just have two, I'm going to just make quick work of that here. And let's put this in the center of our card. And you could offset it a little bit since you're going to be putting that knot on it as well if you choose to. Going to bring in our mini glue dots. These are awesome. And I'm just going to take my ribbon right to there. I'm going to push on that and then peel right up. This is the best way to adhere your knots, your bows, all those sorts of things. Let's see. Do I want it going that way? Or do I maybe want it going this way? Let's fix that a little tighter. I like this flat end against here better. See, it's all just trial and error. What do you like? What do you not like? And this is a good way to experiment with some different elements and see what it is that you do or do not like. I also want to finish the inside of my card, and you can see I didn't like how that stamped. So I just flipped it over and stamped it on the other side in that same place, and then nobody's even gonna know. But I do like to use this Stamp and Seal on my liners. I think that it makes a nice smooth writing surface, and that's why I do that. Here's another place. You would not have to, for lighter cardstocks, you would not have to put in a liner. This one I'm just doing the white. Sometimes I've added a color. Also, with your designer series paper, you need to see if you're using basic white or if you are needing to use your very vanilla, whichever one matches your DSP better. And now we've put this knot on. I really, really like it. But I forgot that I have some gems that I want to put on here. You could use these, you could not use these. That is totally your call. I think I want this one. Put it right here. And then take two smaller ones and put those right up here. And using these clear ones, it is not male or female on any of this. This just adds a little bit of light to the card, I felt. And so I hope that you like this card. I have several more cards to show you. Let me show you what I started with. I started with this card. And I had this layer wider. You could absolutely do that. I think I will list the measurement for this wider layer in the blog post, but I would say just even add 1/4 of an inch to what I told you, and that's probably about where it is. And this one's just a punch. This one went really quickly. And I like this look. I like the being able to see the white. But the sketch, I'd kind of taken this from a sketch, and I was like, you know what? Why would you even emboss this back layer? Because you can't see it. And so that is where I got this idea. I still like this card, and I will use it for the holidays. But I just thought you just didn't see a lot of that embossing. But this is a simple stamping card. It is just... the only thing I added was the punch. And, really, if you're going to get into any kind of a larger greeting, you're going to have to do a punch. You're going to have to do a die cut, one of those things. You can do a smaller one cut by hand or on your trimmer, or you could do a square, I guess, with your trimmer. But I think most of us probably own a punch or something like that. I believe the DSP on this one is from the Santa Express paper. I don't like that sweet. It's not my thing. I don't like the stamps and dies. Personal preference. But I did like the paper in particular. I love the B sides of the paper, and that's what I used here. The next set I started on, I still stayed in Christmas mode. I don't know why I was thinking Christmas, but that's just where I went. But on this one, I used the gold glitter paper. And on this, I used the soft succulent glitter paper. I used the Lights Aglow DSP. This is the Merry Medley embossing folder. It has the little musical notes on the back. And so I love that. It's like a music page. When you put this on it, you can't see it as well, but it's really pretty in the background. And then let's see. See, this one goes this way, and I just used the Very Vanilla, and this one goes the other way. So you use maybe a card base that you already have cut that you didn't have for something else, and you just make it your own. But these also would be, this one's definitely simple stamping. This one I just added a ribbon to. Next, I went to this Balmy Blue card, and I used the Awash in Beauty DSP with this. And then I just took another greeting from a different set, and I can't even offhand think about what this stamp set is. Maybe something shapes, I'm not sure. But I used the silver twine on this, and it's kind of hard to tie a bow with, so I just made a knot and taped it on the back, and I like that a lot, and it just kind of brightened this up a lot. And I used the Time Worn Type embossing folder. This one again opens this way. I have a die cut that I had cut out and didn't use, so I used it on the inside of my card. Here's another one. This used the Sun Prince suite of products, and I just did a monochromatic starry sky card in this. This could be for a birthday, this could be congratulations, this could be a retirement, this could be someone that's leaving your workplace and you're doing a group gift and want a card to go with it. All kinds of fun things. And I just kind of did this one. It's kind of a more modern, geometric, different kind of shape kind of things. Not really geometric, but just different patterns. This embossing folder is from the Stripes and Splatters, and this is the Splatters. And you can just see it has different, mostly round and splotchy shapes back here. And I popped this layer up. I used the In Color glimmer paper on here and our In Color ribbon and embellishments. And then I just used the splotches from that set to just do that on the inside. It just made it kind of fun and perky. This card is using the Tea Boutique suite of products. I use this, and I have to look at it. It is called the Cascading Ruffles on this one, and it just adds like a little, kind of looks like a curtain with some different folds in it. But it's really fun too. And I love the B-sides of this as well, all florals and different things. So don't think that just because maybe you didn't even want a teacup on here, you wanted to put a flower on here, you could totally do that. You could just put a greeting on here and it would still be lovely. I did not pop these layers up. These are flat. That's another choice you can make. I did pop up my teacup and flowers, and then I just put my greeting across the top. And these are, I can't think of, they're one of the pearls. They're the new pearls that kind of have a little bit more of a shine to them. And then this is one of those cases where it's a white card. I still like to put a liner in the inside just because I think even though I use thick basic white, I just like to have that feel of a more substantial card. So I thought it needed some color. And so I put the Fresh Freesia inside and the Garden Green I used to stamp my teacup. Then I went to the Happiness Abounds. I used this embossing folder, and this is called Pretty Flowers on this one. And this is in the polished pink. And I used this great label die, and I used this stamp from the set, and this is polished pink ribbon, and this is just some of the DSP from the Happiness Abounds DSP from the suite. I stamped one of these images here before I glued it down, because you don't want to do it after. You won't want your blends bleeding through. And then I added a layer of Granny Apple Green, and this is just such a fun and happy card. Again, I didn't pop this layer up. You make the choice. I just thought, well, so I added a big bow. I didn't want all that height in there, so that was what I did with that. And then on all of them, I used the 6" by 2.5 inches piece of DSP, and just put glue on your flap and line this up and trim away the excess. That's how you do that. And then I just stamped that same image there. And I'll tell you how I do this on my envelopes is, let me bring this back in. I have one like that doesn't have any gems to it. It's empty, and I saved it. And that's what it's for. And I just put it down in here so it goes down in and separates those layers so that those blends markers don't bleed through. That's how I do my envelopes if I'm using a stamp and blend marker. If you're just stamping on it, you're good to do it. It's not going to bleed through. Our envelopes are really, really nice. If you are cheaping out and going with some other random envelopes, you are making such a mistake. These are just awesome. And, you know, it's the best. It makes a difference. If you're going to go through all this trouble on a card, make the envelope nice. And I saved this one for last just because I think it's my favorite. This one is the sorbet paper, is the main color of the card. This is also using the Tea Boutique set, but there's nothing that looks tea-like about it. I did pop up this layer. I did not use any ribbon. This is crushed curry. And I stamped and cut out these flowers and these leaf images. These are from the Charming Sentiments, and that's really nice. And then it needed something to ground it, so I just cut a white label and put it in the back. It's popped up as well. This is from the Dots and Spots die. I love it, and I cut it in the sorbet paper, and then using white of the same size, then I put that underneath, and that's how you get that polka dot effect. And of course, here at the Polka Dot Life, we're all about the polka dots. And just adding these white embellishments just made these pop off the page. And inside, I just continue to let some of that DSP do the work. And that's what I did on the inside of this card. So here are 10 cards, all using this layout. They all look very different. Well, these ones look a little bit similar because I use the same products, but you can see the vast array of cards you can make, how much you can take it and build on top of it. And I love this because you can take anything that you already have in your craft room and just use it. It's a great way to, on the fly, when you need something and you don't have a lot of product on hand, it doesn't take a lot of that DSP. So how about today, making one of these cards and sending it this week? Let's all make that our goal, is to make one card and send it to someone and share the love of Christ with someone else. As always, remember to be kind, send a card, and do something creative. Bye-bye.